Hello, my friends. Brett Pattison here with Iron Gate Global Advisors, coming at you from the financial capital of the West. That is, my friend, Salt Lake City, Utah. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your day to listen to our monthly commentary. And this month I'm deviating from our normal commentary because Brian and I have been talking about some pretty important characteristics of successful investors. And that's what I want to bring up today. We are in the midst of a bull market. You've heard the phrase, everyone is a genius in a bull market. And a lot of people in bull markets end up making some pretty bad mistakes. And so that's where we wanted to focus our conversation on today. This is an investor, a famous hedge fund manager named Stanley Druckenmiller. Stanley Druckenmiller was one of the best hedge fund managers around. He helped George Soros managed the famous Quantum Fund from 88 to 2000, and they just killed it. They had absolutely tremendous returns. He's a great philanthropist, someone that I respect a lot. When he speaks, I definitely take time out of my day to listen to what he's saying. He's got a great track record, one of the best hedge fund managers there has been. The thing that I respect most of Stanley Druckenmiller is what I'm about to bring up, and it goes back to 1999 and 2000. And before I bring up a quote from Mr. Druckenmiller, you've got to understand that the best investors that I know, they don't just talk about what they do well. They talk to an equally amount of time on what they could have done better or what mistakes they made. In our quarterly commentary that we as Iron Gate Global publish for our clients, we have a section near the end that's called the best and worst. What was the best investment of the quarter? What was the worst investment of the quarter? How can we learn from it? What do we think about it? And so it provides a level of transparency and keeps us in the right state of mind when managing client assets. And going back to Druckenmiller and what he said about the tech bubble is he said this. He said, I bought the tech market very well in mid-1999 and sold everything out in January and was sitting pretty. So he made some great money, right? Sitting pretty. And then I had two internal managers who were making about 5% a day. And he says, I just couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand watching those guys kill it. And so what did he do? I put billions of dollars in within hours of the top. And boy, did I get killed the next couple of months. It violated every rule I learned in 25 years. Emotions got the best of him. He made money. He was sitting pretty. He saw others getting rich. He didn't want to miss out. He jumped in. It violated every rule he had learned in 25 years, and he got crushed by doing it. And he's not the only one that's done that. Going to one of the most brilliant men that's ever lived, Sir Isaac Newton, in the South Sea stock. You can see this chart going back to the 1700s. On the left-hand side, it says Newton invests a little bit. Next step, Newton exits happy. He made money. All is well on this South Sea stock. And then he watched his friends getting rich and killing it. And so what did he say to himself? Well, I made money on the investment before. Watching my friends get rich, I don't want to miss out. And so he enters with a big sum of money near the top, and you can see on the right-hand side when he exits broke. A good lesson to everybody. So why do brilliant people and tremendous hedge fund managers and money managers, why do they make these mistakes? Here's where the danger is, and this was and I hate to bring up all these quotes, but these people are saying it a lot better than I can. This is from Morgan Housel, if I'm saying that name correctly. He has a great quote. He said, this is the danger. It goes like this. The more successful you are at something, the more convinced you become that you're doing it right. You keep succeeding, you keep getting it right, you keep hitting home runs and triples and whatever it may be. The more convinced you are that you're doing it right, the less open you are to change. the less open you are to change, the more likely you are tripping in a world that changes all the time. So we become so prideful in what we're doing that, hey, I'm killing it. I'm making money. Newton, I made money before on South Sea. I'm going to make money again. Druckenmiller, I made money on these tech stocks. My buddies are getting rich doing it. I'm going to jump right back in. It's that pride that is the danger. And I will tell you, for 10 years, I taught individual investors and and advisors how to manage money. And the worst thing is when you teach somebody a new strategy and that individual immediately goes and implements it and just kills it and starts making money and making money. Halfway through the educational process, they're not even listening to you anymore. They're saying, why in the world I'm doing fine. I'm making money hand over fist. I'm doing great. And they're not open to listening. They're not open to change. They're not open to anything. And then that's where the danger comes in, like it did for Newton and for Druckenmiller and for many, many, many others, including myself. I've done this years ago. I stepped into that same trap. Everybody can fall into the trap. It's not hard. So here's the key. How do you overcome it? Here's the key. The key is, again, from Morgan Housel, he says, there are a million ways to get rich, but there's only one way to stay rich: humility, often to the point of paranoia. The irony is that few things squash humility like getting rich in the first place. So humility, staying humble, often to the point of paranoia. Sir John Templeton comes to mind, of an investor that was beyond humble and so successful, humble at everything he did. And so at Iron Gate Global, and if we're managing your money as clients, you know this is what we're doing. If you're managing your own or if somebody else is managing your money, this is the point of managing risk and doing your best to stay humble. And it's this: the process that you have, you're not focused on results. You're not focused on getting rich. You're focused on the process of buying good business, great businesses at great prices. Part of that process, believe it or not, and Howard Marks brought this up, and I love Howard Marks, but he said this: part of the process which we at Iron Gate have implemented is saying, I don't know. We at Iron Gate, we have an investment committee, and we meet and we present ideas and we follow up on current positions and we do all these things. And for example, when Brian is discussing a stock that he really likes, an investment idea, I will ask questions that in a way challenges that investment idea. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? If there's a point, and there's often points, almost every time, to where he says, good question, I don't know. And he immediately goes and researches it. If we can find an answer, great. If we cannot, then it's probably not an investment that we truly understand, and so we're going to stay away from it. It's okay to say, I don't know. Because when you say, I don't know, it keeps that humility, which is an important part of investing, in check. And as Howard Marks said, if you start with I don't know, then you are unlikely to act so boldly as to get into trouble. And this business, I will tell you, is full of people, and famous people, who were right only one time in their career. I'm not going to throw names under the bus, but I can think of probably half a dozen right now. They were right once, they called one thing right, and they are perceived geniuses and prideful people at that, very prideful. So our advice to you is to do your best, to stay humble, to be careful, and if there's a part of the market that you don't understand, stay away from it. Because the market has an uncanny ability, if you're not humble, to make you humble. There's my contact information, my friends. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. There's my partner, Brian Hunsaker. And always know this: relax. We can take it from here. Thanks.
This is a purely public broadcast and is not intended to be personalized financial advice for any individual's specific situation. Each individual's financial situation is unique, and the topics discussed on this broadcast should not be relied upon and/or considered as personalized advice. Specific financial securities discussed are not intended to address any listener's particular financial situation and should not be considered recommendations. This is for educational purposes only. For more information, please contact Iron Gate Global Advisors at info@igga.com or by calling 888-591-0334.